Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Audi 80 B4 car. We present to you a car that can be considered a young timer today, and is still highly valued on the secondary market due to its above-average durability and exceptionally low operating costs. The Audi 80 is the ideal for low-income families who need a car that won't break the bank. Due to its age, greater spaciousness and safety, in our opinion you should choose the Audi 80 B4. While for those looking for young timers we recommend the B3, especially the Audi 90, the luxurious 80. For families, the station wagon version will be the ideal choice. If you drive a lot, it should definitely be a car equipped with a 1.9 TDI engine. Diesels in the B3 are very outdated, and petrol engines are quite weak and not very economical. We also recommend the B4 due to the better technical condition of the models sold. It is worth mentioning the Quattro drive, which significantly improves traction and handling, but limits the boot space and does not eliminate understeer. This is a traditional design with a differential, providing permanent distribution of drive to four wheels. It was only offered for 2.0 to 2.8 petrol engines. It is impossible to list all the engines installed under the hood of the Audi 80. Let's focus on those offered in the B4. The basic 1.6 petrol unit produces from 76 to 102 HP. In general, this is an engine that, in a very modified version, later found its way under the hood of, among others, the Škoda Octavia or Golf V. The Audi 80 2.0 or 2.0e was definitely more common. The 2-liter engine develops power from 90 to 140 horsepower in the 16-valve version. Next in the range was the 5-cylinder 2.3 unit with 133 horsepower. The largest V6 with a capacity of 2.6L and 2.8L already reach power of 150 and 174 horsepower respectively. It is worth noting that almost every engine is equipped with multi-point injection, mostly electronic. The 5-cylinder has mechanical injection and is the only one completely unsuitable for gas power. Only the basic versions 1.6 and 2.0 have simple single-point injection. The Audi B3 still used carburetors, although most also used injection. However, a complete novelty in the Audi 80 B4 range was the 1.9 TDI diesel, which replaced the worn-out 1.6 TD unit. The modern design with direct fuel injection debuted in this model. It develops 90 HP and became famous for both durability and low fuel consumption. A diesel of the same capacity, marked as TD, was offered in parallel. This one develops 75 HP and is a typical workhorse, not very noteworthy. Which engine to choose? The choice of engines can be basically limited to two. The market is dominated by the 2.0 petrol version and the 1.9 TDI diesel. We will take a closer look at this one. Larger capacity units are much rarer and we recommend them mainly to people who treat the 80 as a classic car. Let's start with the 2.0 petrol engine, which came in 3 versions. The basic 90 horsepower engine has single-point injection and the simplest design. The 2.0e version already has multi-point injection, which allowed it to obtain 115 horsepower. The top version was the 2.0 16 volts with 140 horsepower. Which version to choose? Basically, it makes no difference, although we recommend the weakest version only to people who don't care much about dynamics. However, you usually won't find the most powerful versions anyway, and if you do, you should check the car with greater vigilance. The 16-valve is not particularly prone to failures, but repairs will be more expensive. That's why we recommend the 2.0e, 115 hydrogen phosphide, as the optimum. This is an engine that won't cause any problems. It is worth noting that this unit was developed for a very long time and was also used in the successor of the A4, B5. This is an engine that will successfully tolerate gas supply, and this is facilitated not only by the armored construction, but also by the low requirements for the installation components. You can even install the second generation without injectors, although then you have to be careful. An incorrectly adjusted installation can destroy the flow meter, It is necessary to maintain the tightness of the intake system from the air filter to the engine itself. This problem will not occur with a sequential installation. That is why we recommend it, especially since you will not feel a drop in power, and fuel consumption will increase only slightly. A relatively cheap system will be enough. What goes wrong with this engine? Basically nothing. Any faults are caused only by neglect, and major ones at that. Remember that the unit has a traditional ignition with a device that sometimes needs to be adjusted. Minor faults mainly concern the ignition and intake system, where the air supply lines from the flow meter to the manifold are chafing, not because it is faulty, but because of age. Because of this, anything can break down, any piece of equipment, but these are not regular cases. For those who care about durability, we also recommend the weakest version of the 2.0 engine, to which you can successfully install the cheapest gas installation with an emulator. Fuel consumption usually oscillates around 8 to 10 L, 100 kilometers, regardless of the engine type. However, the 140 horsepower version has definitely the best performance. Acceleration to 109.6 s. Now a few words about the TDI turbodiesel. This is an engine about which reliability legends circulate, but most of them are legends. It is armored, but it sometimes refuses to obey. Above all, it is sensitive not only to fuel quality, but also to service. It is best to change the oil every 10–15,000 kilometers due to the turbocharger. Use the oil required by the manufacturer VW505.00. The turbocharger is not an expensive device and can be successfully regenerated, because it does not have variable turbine geometry. It can be destroyed by neglect. There is also an intercooler, which would need to be replaced with a new one if the turbo is to be repaired, which increases the overall cost. Smoke and a drop in engine power are most often a symptom of a flow meter malfunction, not an injection system. This is a rather weak point of the TDI. Therefore, in this case, it is worth confirming the fault first, instead of blindly trusting your hunch. You also need to remember about the timing belt, which should be replaced every 90,000 kilometers, and it is worth sticking to the deadline. Breaking this element can destroy the engine. It is best to replace the accessory drive together with it, which is not always remembered. Be sure to replace the belt tensioner, which is not durable. Either way, with a little care and careful warming up of the drive unit, you can count on very long mileage. 400–500,000 kilometers does not make a big impression on this engine, but at this stage you can already expect more serious repairs, injection system or turbo. The advantage of the TDI unit is the lack of a dual-mass flywheel. The great advantage of the 1.9 TDI engine in the Audi 80 is its good dynamics and above-average low fuel consumption. On the road, you can easily get values at the level of 4L, 100 kilometers, and exceeding 6L of average fuel consumption is possible only with very dynamic driving. With such low values, the 90 horsepower unit efficiently drives the car, provides very good flexibility and comfort, also on long routes. The overall ride comfort will be higher in the petrol version, because the TDI engine, colloquially speaking, rattles terribly. It is not only loud, but also generates quite a lot of vibration. Before buying, it is worth paying attention to the condition of the oil mounting pads, because after years they wear out and can negatively affect other areas. They are quite expensive. As with modern cars, when buying an Audi 80 and choosing an engine, you should consider how it will be used. The cheapest to maintain will be a petrol engine with a gas installation. A very economical diesel can destroy the savings resulting from combustion if a serious failure occurs. Most of these engines on the market have had many repairs, so be very careful with those that haven't had anything done to them for many years. If you drive less, choose a petrol engine and don't install a gas system. If you need a car for long distances, a diesel will be optimal. What's broken? Basically, nothing and everything that the previous owner neglected and his mechanic ruined. Such are the realities of the old car market. If you buy a well-maintained model, even one recently imported from Germany, It is still a popular import model. You can sleep soundly. Due to its age, any piece of equipment may fail, but generally the car has no typical faults. It is hard to even indicate what may await you in the future. However, these are not things that a good mechanic cannot handle. The advantage of the car is its simplicity and durability. The suspension is worth noting, as it was built in such a way that even a general overhaul is not a big expense. It is very durable, resistant even to huge overloads. You can successfully ride on very bad roads without worrying that something will not hold up. The wishbones at the front have replaceable pins and are made of steel, aluminum in the A4. The rear axle is so primitive that you basically don't do anything to it. The parking brake, which tends to jam, is a real pain for users. After years, it simply requires a thorough inspection and cleaning, as dirt collects in the mechanism. Overall, the braking system is very effective, and you will often find ABS on board. Is it worth buying a used Audi 80? Despite its age, in our opinion it is definitely worth it. It's an incredibly tough machine that's hard to break down, and it's also cheap to run. The car can successfully transport less affluent families for many years to come and will most likely outlive many A4s. The 80 holds its value very well, and a well-maintained model can be sold for more than it was bought for. This is one of those timeless cars that will always be valued by specific customers. Thank you for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.
I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what brakes and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with, and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro.